This video is brought to you by HonorFirst.com, a nonprofit organization. I'm Clifford Gill, a retired Border Patrol Assistant Chief and one of its officers. Today, the Newton-Azrak Award is the highest recognition presented by the United States Border Patrol. Its significance is rooted not only in sacrifice, but in how the award's standards, eligibility, and method of recognition evolved over time. To understand the award, it helps to understand both the tragedy behind its name and how the criteria governing the award changed across distinct eras. On June 17, 1967, Immigration and Naturalization Service Border Patrol inspectors Theodore L. Newton Jr. and George F. Azrak were murdered in the line of duty in Southern California. Inspector Newton was 25 years old, a top graduate of the Border Patrol Academy, a United States Air Force veteran, and the father of two young children. Inspector Azrak was 21 years old, newly appointed, and serving under the training practices in place at the time, which allowed newly hired trainee inspectors to work under experienced personnel prior to attending the academy. He was also the son of a career Immigration and Naturalization Service employee. Their murders marked a defining moment for the patrol and left a lasting impact across the Immigration and Naturalization Service. In the years that followed, their deaths remained a defining moment within the INS and the patrol. Over time, their legacy was carried forward through memorial efforts and institutional recognition. Most significantly, their sacrifice ultimately became the foundation for the Immigration and Naturalization Service's highest award. In 1973, the Newton-Azrak Award was established as the highest commissioner's award of the Immigration and Naturalization Service. It was not created as a Border Patrol award. It was an INS-wide honor, and its early criteria reflected the broad law enforcement mission of the service. When the award was first introduced, the physical presentation was simple. Recipients were recognized with a commemorative plaque. Under the INS-era framework, the award was not limited solely to acts of heroism. It could recognize unusual courage or competence in the line of duty, outstanding accomplishments in special law enforcement programs, exceptional leadership or innovation in federal law enforcement, and exceptionally effective cooperation with other law enforcement agencies. Border Patrol agents were eligible, but so were immigration inspectors, criminal investigators, deportation officers, pilots, detention officers, adjudication officers involved in enforcement work, and other INS personnel performing federal law enforcement functions. As the award gained prominence, its physical form evolved. In the 1980s, the plaque was replaced with a statuette of the Statue of Liberty. Later in the 1980s, the design shifted again, becoming a Border Patrol agent figure wearing a rough-duty uniform with a cowboy hat. In the 1990s, the award took on a more formal appearance with a statuette depicting a Border Patrol agent in dress uniform. That dress uniform statuette has remained the core of the Newton-Azrak Award since the 1990s, with some design variations over the years. From the time the award was created in 1973 through 2018, the Newton-Azrak Award was presented on an annual basis. That annual structure had important consequences. Acts that met the criteria were often recognized well after the qualifying event occurred, sometimes a year or more later. While the award carried significant prestige, the time-based limitation reduced the timeliness of recognition and required multiple deserving actions to be weighed against one another within a single award cycle. In 2003, the Immigration and Naturalization Service was dissolved, and the U.S. Border Patrol became a component of the newly created U.S. Customs and Border Protection. The Newton-Azrak Award was carried forward into CBP, but the long-standing INS criteria were not retained in their original form. Instead, a new framework was established through a memorandum issued by Chief of the Border Patrol, Gustavo de la Viña. Under this CBP-era structure, eligibility was limited exclusively to Border Patrol agents, and the award became focused solely on acts of bravery or heroism. At the same time, the award remained a CBP Commissioner's Award and was subject to numerical limitations. In practice, no more than 2 events could be recognized in a given year. That numerical restriction had a significant effect. Multiple actions that clearly met the heroism standard could go unrecognized under the Newton-Azrak Award simply because of limits on how many awards could be presented. As a result, only the most sensational or spectacular actions tended to receive recognition, while other equally qualifying acts of courage were not recognized through the award. Although the Newton-Azrak Award remained highly respected, its structure limited the ability to fully recognize qualifying acts of heroism by Border Patrol agents. The physical award continued to evolve as well. Beginning in 2004, A four-piece medal set was introduced and awarded alongside the Newton-Azrak statuette, adding a formal wearable and display component to the recognition package. In 2018, the Newton-Azrak Award underwent its most significant evolution. The award was removed from the CBP Commissioner's Award structure and placed under the sole authority of the U.S. Border Patrol. With that change came a fundamental shift in philosophy. Nominations and presentations became open and continuous rather than tied to an annual cycle. Numerical limits were eliminated. If an action met the criteria, the award could be presented regardless of how few or how many qualifying actions occurred in a given time frame. Since assuming control of the Newton-Azrak Award in 2018, the U.S. Border Patrol has also revisited certain past actions. In some cases, acts of heroism that met the Newton-Azrak criteria were unrecognized, underrecognized, or were recognized through other award systems, such as Secretaries or Commissioners' Awards. Under the modern framework, the Border Patrol has worked deliberately to identify and correct those gaps, ensuring that qualifying acts of heroism are recognized appropriately and consistently within the U.S. Border Patrol honorary awards system. At the same time, the criteria were refined into a clear and modern heroism standard. Under the current framework, the Newton-Azrak Award may be presented to any U.S. Border Patrol employee who performs a conspicuous act of heroism that is above and beyond the call of duty. The act must involve imminent and personal danger to the individual, and the individual must knowingly and voluntarily assume that risk. Team or unit nominations are permitted, but the specific actions of each individual must be clearly articulated because the award is granted based on individual merit. The standard is the action itself, not timing, quotas, or comparative spectacle. In 2018, the award package was expanded again to better reflect the significance of the recognition. A high-quality embossed certificate was added to accompany the Newton-Azrak statuette and the four-piece medal set. Today, a recipient of the Newton-Azrak Award receives the statuette, the four-piece medal set, and the embossed certificate, representing the full and formal recognition of conspicuous heroism. Within today's Border Patrol honorary award system, the Newton-Azrak Award represents the highest tier of heroism recognition. Below it, the Border Patrol uses V devices on the U.S. Border Patrol Commendation Medal and the U.S. Border Patrol Achievement Medal to recognize valor at additional levels, creating a structured system that reflects differing degrees of risk and performance. As of December 2025, there have been 210 recipients of the Newton-Azrak Award, of which 184 were Border Patrol agents and 26 were Immigration and Naturalization Service employees. That distribution reflects the full evolution of the award from an INS-wide annually presented honor to a numerically limited CBP Commissioner's Award, and finally to a Border Patrol-controlled recognition where every qualifying act of heroism may be honored on its own merits. To place those numbers in context, since 1973, approximately 50,000 individuals have served as Border Patrol agents, underscoring how rare and exceptional the award remains within the patrol. Every year, on June 17th, the Border Patrol remembers Theodore L. Newton Jr. and George F. Azrak. And every time the Newton-Azrak Award is presented today, it affirms a standard of courage shaped by history, refined by experience, and anchored in the principle that heroism should be recognized when it occurs. HonorFirst.com gratefully acknowledges the Border Patrol Museum and historian Joseph Benko. Their historical materials continue to enrich our shared commitment to preserving the proud legacy of the United States Border Patrol.